Let's eat. We are back with another one. We got bread. We got something to chew on. We got some thoughts to share. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so just one question. Just one question. The reformers, some post reformers, what was their view? Did they see Michael the Archangel as Christ? What was their view? That is what we're going to answer in this video. So before we move on, let's listen to Answering Adventism, and then we'll, after that clip, discuss open break bread. Right? So let's go.
Tonight we're going to be looking at the Seventh-day Adventist Church's teaching regarding Michael the Archangel. This is a topic we get a lot of questions about, and something that, to be fair to the SDA Church, there's a lot of confusion on as it pertains to their position. Many people saddled the SDA Church with the belief of the Jehovah's Witnesses that Jesus is a created angelic being. Others will hear Adventists appeal to some of the Protestant reformers to try and say they held to an identical belief as them, which is also something that the Jehovah's Witnesses do. But what we are going to see is that this appeal is superficial.
Is it superficial? The Adventists, we look at Michael, we view him as Christ. Michael in Scripture was the pre-incarnated Jesus. That is the Adventist, or that is the Adventist view. Okay, Ellen White said Michael is Jesus, or was Jesus, because Michael is the pre-incarnated Jesus, right? So let's go to the Protestants now. These are non-Adventist articles that I've researched, and I found them online, and they wrote very interesting things. Okay, we're gonna look at two of these Protestant theologians, modern Protestant theologians, right? One from the Lutheran and one from the Presbyterian. So let's go first to Dr. Francis N. Lee. Dr. Francis N. Lee was Professor Emeritus of Systematic Theology and Church History at Queensland Presbyterian Theology Seminary. Here's our Presbyterian theologian, scholar. Okay. Now, Dr. Francis, in his article, he quotes John Calvin's commentary on Daniel chapter 10, verse 13. But before we go to John Calvin's commentary on this verse, let's first read the verse. Daniel 10, verse 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Okay, so here's Michael. So here's John Calvin's commentary on Daniel 10, verse 13. This is what he said. Michael represents Christ. John Calvin, the father of the Presbyterian Church. Michael represents Christ. That's what he said. I do not object to this view. If all angels keep watch over the faithful and elect, still Christ holds the first rank among them because he is their head. Okay. And then he said more on the subject in the 12th chapter. That's Daniel chapter 12, right? That's where Michael is mentioned again. So there you go, John Calvin. He says Michael the Archangel represents Jesus Christ. Now, here's another one. Dr. Francis again pulls up another quote from John Calvin's commentary on Daniel 10, verse 21. But before we go there, let's read the verse. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scripture of truth, and there is none that holdeth with me. This is Gabriel talking to Daniel. There is none that holds with me in these things, but Michael, your prince. Now, Gabriel is telling Daniel that Michael was his prince. Okay, so here's John Calvin's commentary on Daniel 12 verse Daniel 10 verse 21. Some think Michael. Read it again. Michael. Some think to be Christ. I do not object to this view. He, Daniel, calls him a prince of the church. This title seems by no means to belong to any angels, but to be peculiar to Christ. So here, I do not object to this view. The same view the Adventist church hold, or the Adventists hold, or Ellen White holds. Michael was Jesus. Michael was the pre-incarnated Jesus Christ. Okay? So, this is what Dr. Francis wrote. This is what he said in this article. He said, Calvin's and Calvinism's, I maintain, is the correct view of angels. It was followed also by many others, notably by the Calvinist Matthew Henry in his commentary on the Holy Bible. And then he pulls up Matthew Henry's commentary. Okay, this is what Matthew Henry said. Here is Michael, our prince, the great protector of the church. Michael the Archangel is no other than Christ himself, the angel of the covenant, and the Lord of the angels, whom Daniel saw in a vision. Christ is the church's prince. Angels are not. So Michael, Daniel's prince, according to Matthew Henry, is Jesus Christ. Michael, the pre-incarnated Christ. Here's another one. Dr. Francis again pulls up another commentary from Matthew Henry. So Matthew Henry's commentary on Daniel 12 verse 1, and this is what. But before we go there, let's read the verse first. Daniel 12 verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which stands for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Remember, Michael stands up here. Now let's listen to Matthew Henry's commentary on Daniel 12 verse 1. Christ is that great prince. If he, Christ, stand up, if he, Michael, stand up for his church, who can be against it? Michael shall stand up for the working out of our eternal salvation. Michael works out our salvation according to Matthew Henry. And the rest you can see in the screen. By the way, okay, let me say it again. The link for this article is in the description box, so check it out, read it for yourself. There are other guys that Dr. Francis quotes. There are other reformers, other post-reformers, or that Matthew Henry quotes. Just look it up yourself. Now let's go to the next one. These are the words of Dr. Francis N. Lee. This is what he said. Great then is the culpability of the Judaistic leaders who rejected the angel of the Lord and God's angel of the covenant. Right? The Jews rejected Christ, the angel of the Lord, Michael. When Michael became flesh and dwelt among them. Great too is the culpability of modern church folks today who would attribute to mere created angels and alleged archangels that which our sole archangel, Michael the Son of God, claims solely for himself. Michael or Michael means who is like God. Who indeed? Dr. Francis asks. And then he answers, who indeed, save he who is God, Jesus Christ. And then he ends with John Calvin's words, Pos tenebras fiat lux. Look it up. Here's another scholar from the Lutheran Church. Okay? His name is Reverend Christian A. Prius. Now, this is what Reverend Christian said in his article. By the way, the link for this article is in the description box. The identification of Michael as Christ in Revelation 12, verse 7, has a long history in the Lutheran exegetical tradition. Both Luther and Melanchthon make the identification, and the Lutheran exegetes of the 16th and 17th centuries follow suit with apparent unanimity. Okay? Now he's talking about Revelation 12, verse 7. He said, the Lutheran tradition, they believe that this Michael in Revelation 12, verse 7 is Jesus, was Jesus. The pre-incarnate Michael was Jesus. Now look, Revelation 12, verse 7. Let me read. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon, Satan, and his angels fought against Michael. And of course, go look at the text, read it, and this time look at it with a different perspective. Michael is at war with the devil. Okay? There was war in heaven. The pre-incarnated Michael. This is before Jesus was born. There was war in heaven. Okay, if you have any questions on Revelation 12, the chronology, hey, let me know so I can make another video on that one. Okay? So here's a footnote that Reverend Christian put. Now I'm going to read out his footnote. This is what he said. I have not been able to find a single Lutheran exegete of Reformation or post-Reformation times who says that the Michael of Revelation 12 is not Christ. In his posthumously published notes on Jude, John Gerhardt, or Gerhardt's son who edited the notes, calls it the opinion of the Orthodox, by which he means the Lutherans. Okay? So that is what Reverend Christian, the Lutheran scholar, theologian, said. Okay? He continues. The primary reason for the Lutheran insistence on Michael's identification with Christ lies in the nature of the battle that Michael wages, Revelation 12. What does it mean that Michael cast Satan out of heaven? Revelation 12. What does it mean that Michael fight against God's enemies in the last days? Okay, he's asking those questions. Here's going to be the answer. The Reformation and post-Reformation Lutheran exegetical tradition is unanimous in its answer. Okay, the whole Lutheran movement, this is their answer to those questions. It means that Christ conquers, Michael conquers false teaching and false teachers through his word. Okay, here's another quote from Reverend Christian's article. He said, the battle between Michael and Satan, pictured in Revelation 12 and Daniel chapter 12, is not a one-time occurrence, but a continual battle. Reverend Christian is talking about the great controversy. Even if he doesn't know, maybe he doesn't know about this great controversy. Maybe he did, or he does. But this is Adventism language as well, because we believe this too, man. This is biblical. There's a war. There's a great controversy between Christ and Satan that began in heaven. Okay? Let me continue. As Christ through his word conquers false teachers and false teaching, and every force, physical and spiritual, that militates against his word, a created angel simply cannot do this, right? If Michael's not a created angel, that is what he's implying. A created angel simply cannot do this. It is God who works through his word, and also God who works through angels. Thus, it was their understanding of Michael's work that led Lutheran exegetes to identify him with Christ and to insist vehemently on this designation. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Again, from the words of Reverend Christian, Lutheran and Lutheran exegetes find it hard to identify Michael as Christ in Jude 9. They believe that the Michael of Jude 9 is a created angel. So here's the Lutheran tradition. They believe there's two Michaels. Okay? The first one that represents Christ, the pre-incarnated Jesus, is the one in Daniel and the one in Revelation. But the one in Jude is not, is another Michael. But that's the difference between the Adventists and maybe some other Protestants, right? They look at the Michael in Jude 9 as also Jesus, but not the Lutherans. But that's okay because the evidence is piling up. Okay, answering Adventism claims that we are wrong. Well, then he has to say the Presbyterians were wrong as well. John Calvin was wrong as well. John Calvin is a heretic, was a heretic. Okay, if he claims Ellen White was wrong about Michael being Jesus, then Calvin was wrong about Michael being Jesus. So that's the end of this video. You have any comments? Comment section. You have any questions? Comment sections. Okay, keep it clean. Do not put any railing accusations. Be like Michael, be like Jesus. And the articles. Okay, click on the links, read them for yourself, be informed, be acknowledged, be encouraged, be fed. God bless and peace.